Good evening and welcome to the Tuesday, October 14th, 2025 City Council regular business meeting. I'm Mayor Ashley Matthews, and I'd like to call this meeting to order. With me this evening is City Attorney James Haney, City Manager Blair King, Christine Brown, our City Clerk, Ben on IT helping us out, and all members are here except for Councilmember Fantroy Johnson. Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Christine Brown, City Clerk. Please state for the record if you're present after I call your name. Mayor Matthews?
Present.
Deputy Mayor Quitsland?
Present.
Councilmember Dietz?
Present.
Councilmember Hytopoulos?
Present.
Councilmember Morwalki?
Present.
Councilmember Schneider?
Present.
Thank you.
And let's do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And I'd like to say the Suquamish land acknowledgement. Every part of this soil is sacred in the estimation of my people. Every hillside, every valley, every plain and grove has been hallowed by some sad or happy event in days long vanished. Chief Seattle, 1854. We would like to begin by acknowledging that the land on which we gather is within the ancestral territory of the Suquab, people of clear salt water, Suquamish people, expert fishermen, canoe builders, and basket weavers. The Suquab live in harmony with the lands and waterways along Washington's Central Salish Sea as they have for thousands of years. Here the Suquab live and protect the land and waters of their ancestors for future generations as promised by the Point Elliott Treaty of 1855. And let's approve our agenda. Councilmember Morwalki.
Thank you, Mayor Matthews. I move approval of tonight's business agenda as presented.
Okay.
Second.
We had a, okay. Motion made and seconded. Motion made by Councilmember Morwalki, seconded by Deputy Mayor Quitsland. All those in favor?
Aye.
And any conflicts of interest this evening? No. All right, seeing none, we'll move on to our first presentation, which is presenting a proclamation declaring October 2025 as Resiliency Awareness Month. I don't see Victoria, but I will read it. Okay. A proclamation by the City Council of the City of Bainbridge Island, Washington, declaring October 2025 as Resiliency Awareness Month. Whereas there is compelling scientific evidence of a correlation between negative childhood experiences, known as adverse child experiences, ACEs, or toxic stress and lifelong health and social challenges. And whereas ACEs may include physical, sexual, or verbal abuse, physical and emotional neglect, witnessing domestic violence, the loss of a parent through separation or divorce, or having a family member who experiences mental illness, substance use disorder, or incarceration. And whereas toxic stress may arise from the broader community and structural challenges such as poverty, homelessness, racism, sexism, homophobia, colonization, community violence, and natural disasters. And whereas in Kitsap County, 62% of residents report having experienced at least one ACE, and over 37% of residents report 3 or more ACEs. And research indicates the greater number of ACEs, the higher risk for social, emotional, behavioral, and physical health challenges, including school suspension, dropout, unemployment, homelessness, incarceration, chronic disease, and substance abuse. And whereas ACEs are linked to many of our most costly community issues, including 78% of intravenous drug use, 69% of mental illness, 67% of suicide attempts, 65% of alcoholism, 62% of domestic violence and homelessness, 61% of adult incarceration, 54% of prescription drug abuse, and significant percentages of major chronic health conditions. And whereas resiliency is the antidote built through supportive relationships and adaptive skills such as emotional regulation, stress management, decision making, and healthy relationships, which can transform potentially toxic stress into tolerable stress and foster lifelong well-being. And whereas resiliency must be nurtured across the lifespan through consistent, meaningful engagement with caring adults, supportive environments that foster agency, pathways and goals, and community-wide collaborative efforts that empower individuals and families to thrive. And whereas Kitsap Strong envisions a flourishing community where all children are raised with consistency and nurturance, and is mobilizing residents, organizations, and leaders to prevent ACEs in future generations by strengthening individual and community resilience. Now therefore, I, Ashley Matthews, Mayor of the City of Bainbridge Island, on behalf of the City Council, do proclaim October 2025 to be Resiliency Awareness Month in the City of Bainbridge Island and urge all residents to learn about the impact of ACEs, to embrace resilience building practices in daily life and work, and to support the mission of Kitsap Strong in creating a community of hope and healing and opportunity. I see you, Christina. And I'd like to present this to Christina Rourke.
So I apologize for being late, which is that, we're representing each other. You'll join us. Where is that strong? This is, oh, it was strong.
Right.
Oh, do you want to say any words?
I would love to. Thank you for this opportunity. City of Bainbridge Council people, my name is Christina Rourke. I'm the Executive Director of Kitsap Strong. I'm honored to come to you today. Last year, we had youth present to you, and we're really excited to have, I believe we're in our 7th year of asking for support, and we continue to have your support. But I just wanted to recognize that yesterday we celebrated Indigenous Peoples Day here on City of Bainbridge Island. Yesterday and today with the Squamish tribe, there's the affiliated tribes of Northwest Indians currently meeting together for advocacy to talk about ways in which we can better understand government to government relationships and honor stewardship and their leadership towards tribal sovereignty and honoring of the treaties. I'm sorry, I'm a little bit out of breath. But I just wanted to just reflect on one more thing. Today we were at Chief Kitsap Academy, and we also celebrated as an assembly, school assembly, Indigenous Peoples Day. And I think that's what this work is about, being able to see the youth understand the truth and basically still live and uplift their culture in this time and in this day. So I just wanted to say thank you to Kitsap County as well as the City of Bainbridge. And we're really excited that on a resiliency summit for October 24th, we will be at Kiana Lodge. We invite any of you to stop by, and we'll also have our Chief Kitsap Academy students there as well. So thank you very much. And thank you for joining me in that photo.
Thank you. Next, Councilmember Murwaki.
Thank you, Mayor Matthews. I'd like to read the proclamation. A proclamation by the City Council of the City of Bainbridge Island, Washington, declaring the month of October 2025 as Filipino American History Month. Well, I'll just end right there. Whereas the earliest documented proof of Filipino presence in the continental United States was in October 18th, 1587, when the first Luzones Indios set foot in Morro Bay, California. And whereas Filipino American History Month was first celebrated in the United States in October 1992, and in 2019, the state of Washington passed Senate Bill 5865, permanently making October Filipino History Month in Washington State. And whereas Bainbridge Island is the home of a historic Filipino community and the Bainbridge Island Filipino American Community Hall, with the earliest record showing a Filipino person employed at the Port Blakely Mill in 1883, who was also the first known employee from the Philippines in the Pacific Northwest. And whereas in 1935, Bainbridge Island Filipino farmers formed the Filipino Growers Association, and whereas in the late 1930s and early 1940s, Indigenous women from 19 different tribes in Canada, Washington, and Alaska migrated to Bainbridge Island and married Filipino men, creating the Indopino community unique to Bainbridge Island. And whereas the Filipino community has played and continues to play a lasting and important role in Bainbridge Island's rich agricultural, cultural, social, and civic history. And whereas in 2018, citizens of Bainbridge Island were awarded the Congressional Gold Medal for Filipino veterans of World War II, marking their profound contributions in the United States Armed Services. And whereas Filipino American History Month provides an opportunity to promote the study of Filipino American history and culture, recognize the richness of Filipino American ethnicity, and honors the contributions of Filipino Americans to both our local community and to the nation as a whole. Now, therefore, on behalf of Ashley Matthews, Mayor of the City of Bainbridge Island, and behalf of my colleagues on the City Council, proclaim 2025 as Filipino American History Month in the City of Bainbridge Island. And we urge all islanders to observe and celebrate this month by expanding their understanding of this important part of our heritage through activities and programs that focus on the rich history of our Filipino and Indopino families, neighbors, and friends, dated this 14th day, October 2025, signed by Ashley Matthews, Mayor. And I'd like to invite the President of the Filipino American Community of Bainbridge Island, Mark Salonga, to come forward and proceed the proclamation.
Yeah, come on. Oh. 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 Oh no, am I photobombing? And next, we're going to, oh,
I'll make a few remarks, if that's okay. Thank you, Council Member Moriwaki. My name is Mark Salanga, and I am the President of the Filipino American Community of Bainbridge Island. And as a native Bainbridge Islander, it is with great honor and privilege to be here today to recognize Filipino American History Month. Filipinos have a long and proud history here on Bainbridge. As Council Member mentioned, the first recorded Filipino worker started at Port Blakely in 1883 before settling in large numbers in the 1920s. For the past 100 years, we have been your neighbors, your coworkers, and your friends, and you have been ours. Filipinos have this concept called bayanihan, which is the spirit of community and cooperation, of banding together through difficult times. Today, it is more important than ever that we support our Bainbridge Island community, that we come together to celebrate the diversity that makes Bainbridge a unique and wonderful place. On behalf of the Filipino American community and the members in this room, I want to thank Mayor Matthews and City Council for today's proclamation. Maraming salamat po sa inyong lahat.
thank you so much for it. Bayanihan. So beautiful. So beautiful. Okay, next is, who was the Councilmember Dietz?
Yeah, the proclamation. Might help. Okay. The proclamation declaring October 2025 as National Community Planning Month. I will read the proclamation. Proclamation by the City Council of the City of Bainbridge Island, Washington, declaring October 2025 as National Community Planning Month. Whereas change is constant and affects all cities, towns, suburbs, counties, rural areas, and other places in the state of Washington. And whereas community planning and plans can help manage this change in a way that provides better choices for how people work, reside, recreate, and otherwise live. And whereas community planning provides an opportunity for all residents to be meaningfully involved in making choices that determine the future of their community. And whereas the full benefits of planning require public officials and residents who understand, support, and demand excellence in planning and plan implementation. And whereas the month of October is designated as National Community Planning Month throughout the United States of America and its territories. And whereas the American Planning Association and its professional institute, the American Institute of Certified Planners, endorsed National Community Planning Month as an opportunity to highlight the contributions sound planning and plan implementation make to the equality of our settlements and environment and assuring their sustainability. And whereas the celebration of National Community Planning Month gives us the opportunity to publicly recognize the participation and dedication of members of planning commissions, members of volunteer advisory committees and boards, and the professional community and planners who have contributed their time and expertise to the improvement of the city of Bainbridge Island, and to extend our heartfelt thanks for the continued commitment to public service. Now, therefore, be it resolved, the month of October 2025 is hereby designated as Community Planning Month in the city of Bainbridge Island in conjunction with the celebration of National Community Planning Month, dated this day, 14th of October. Ashley Matthews, Mayor. And accepting this is Planning Commission Chair Sarah Blossom.
I didn't plan to speak, but I think I should be sure to recognize my fellow planning commissioners. I hope you all realize how fortunate you are to have the members that we currently have. They're very talented and very committed, and they work really hard. Thank you.
Next is public comment. In-person public comment is accepted at this time on any topic of public interest. Each commenter will have 3 minutes. Public comment is not taken on individual items as we go through the meeting, so this is your opportunity. Sarah Blossom, you should have just stayed up there. Then next, and then Kevin Federley.
Sarah Blossom, Chair of the Planning Commission, but speaking just for myself. I want to comment on item 5E of your consent agenda. I would ask if items like this are placed on the consent agenda to at least provide a little more information in the agenda bill. It speaks to providing more flexibility in the management and operation and creating a blended average for the 13 units, but it doesn't speak to why greater flexibility is needed. If greater flexibility is needed because it's difficult to find qualified applicants earning 60% AMI and below, I think that information should be shared, especially given what the Planning Commission is currently trying to tackle. 867 is the total number of units for households earning 50% AMI and below that we've been allocated and need to plan for over the next 20 years. That is more than 40% of our total housing allocation. We need every unit we can get. So as one of your planning commissioners who is working really hard trying to figure this out, please explain to me why we are voluntarily removing some of the inventory that serves that segment of our housing allocation. If the reason is that our workforce makes too much money to qualify for 60% AMI and below, then there's a few questions that we need to ask. How reasonable is the allocation we've been given? 867 units 40% of our total allocation. How reasonable is that if our workforce earns too much to qualify for 60% and below? The second question is, if we can't fill 7 units of housing at 60% AMI and below, if that is too low of a threshold for our workforce, what does that mean for 625, where the average income for the 90-unit development can't exceed 60% AMI? Lehigh's FAQ page states that half of the units at 625 will be eligible for someone earning up to 50% and the other half up to 60%. I'm not here to comment on whether or not this is something you should do. I just think the fact that you have to do it raises these questions that we need to talk about at some point. Thank you.
Thanks, Sarah. Next, Kevin Federley.
Kevin from the North End. I'm turning into one of those cranks that shows up every week with a comment. About zoning, we've all heard of the 80-20 rule. You know, in a business, 80% of your profits come from 20% of the customers. In crime, 80% of the crime comes from 20% of the people. And in decisions, 20% of the decisions generate 80% of the controversy and issues. So right now we face House Bill 1220 that's making demands on the rezoning of our city. And I want to talk a little bit about that. In terms of what this council's doing, the most important decision that happens here is what happens to the rezoning of Winslow. I mean, we're talking about 1,970 homes, 2,000 homes, was it? 2,600 homes. I've heard numbers all over the map. 5,000 people, 10,000 people added to the city. Infrastructure cost of $250 million, infrastructure cost of $390 million. These are big numbers. And it's the most important decision that comes out of our city council. So this week with what we heard, the mayor and the assistant mayor heard, we all heard down at Linwood Center, the aha went off in my head. The issue that 1220 gives us isn't that we rezone the city. It isn't that we create more market rate housing. The issue is that we create, I think it's 1,100 affordable housing units over the next 20 years. And so to use the sledgehammer of rezoning the whole Winslow to bring it up to, 5 stories, 4 stories, and create thousands of market rate units doesn't really get at the problem of generating affordable units. So I think it's really important to understand the law. So I would suggest to the council that, because the decision is so important, dedicate a half hour every 2 weeks to get some, training about the law, learn what the growth board wants from us, learn what our current capacity is that's in our current plan and how it's measured, and then start looking at alternative solutions than just blanket rezoning. ADUs have come up. Laura's talked about ADUs. Nelson's talked about subsidies as a way to get the capacity. And then there are existing units that could be, or existing possibilities that we can get on with. Suzuki's 65 units, perhaps. Bethany, 22. Pavilion, 100? Churches, let the churches build units. That's 50. There's 350 units. We're a third of the way there. Okay. Anyway,
Thanks, Kevin.
thank you.
Next, Maggie Rich.
Hi, everyone. Good evening, City Council. My name is Maggie Rich, and I work for Housing Resources Bainbridge. You're more familiar with seeing Phaedra Elliott up here, our Executive Director, but she wears many hats, and she's running our board meeting up the road, where I may scoot off to shortly after this comment. So I'm here to speak to item 5E on your consent agenda. HRB has requested that the income limitations for the Oliver units be set to 80% area median income and below. The city's current covenants need to be amended to allow this change. Currently, the income limit set by these covenants is at 60% and below. Since acquiring these units in December of 2024, HRB has had to turn away many applicants who make just slightly over 60% AMI, but who are employed on Bainbridge Island and are in need of an affordable unit. These income limitations are a local condition and therefore can be changed by our city. That's why we're here. Of the 13 affordable units at the Oliver that the HRB has in our land trust, 6 units have received funding from Kitsap County's home program. So we have to serve those units at 50% and below. That will not change even if the covenant is changed if you make that decision this evening. This change that we're requesting would allow us to qualify people up to 80% AMI in the remaining 7 units at the Oliver, allowing us greater flexibility to serve a slightly broader range of low-income households seeking rental housing on Bainbridge Island. To use numbers to illustrate this issue, a one-person household annual income at 60% AMI is $52,260. A one-person household income at 65% AMI is $56,615. This is a small difference of $4,355 in annual income. That's the difference between 60% AMI and 65% AMI. So that difference is small, but this covenant change would make a big difference in our ability to house people who are looking for affordable housing on Bainbridge Island. Thank you for your consideration, and that's time for me.
Thanks, Maggie.
Welcome.
Next is Heather Berger.
Good evening, council members. My name is Heather Berger, and I'm the Executive Director at Friends of the Farms. I'm here tonight to ask you to support Councilmember Dietz' proposal to allocate $30,000 from the council's contingency fund to Helpline House. This spring, I became aware that federal funding that once supported food banks and local farmers was being cut drastically. Helpline House had just lost 40% of their funding for commodities, and funding to purchase locally grown fresh food from Bainbridge farmers was being rapidly depleted. Looking ahead to January 2026, another $100,000 in annual funding that supports local food purchases by food banks will be completely eliminated. Meanwhile, over 400 families depend on Helpline House every week. That's double the number from just 2 years ago. In some cases, Helpline now provides up to 70% of a family's total food supply. These are our neighbors, seniors on fixed incomes, single parents, working families, and children. In July, faced with this reality, Friends of the Farms launched a new initiative called Share the Harvest. It's a simple and direct approach to 2 converging crises: families that can't get the food they need, and farmers that are losing revenue they depend on to sustain their operations. In the past 3 months, we have purchased and donated over 8,000 pounds of locally grown food to Helpline, putting produce on families' tables and income back in farmers' hands. But let's be clear, while 8,000 pounds is a lot of food, it's only a fraction of what Helpline House needs today to feed our neighbors. The scale of need has already outpaced what efforts in our community alone can meet. And we know this is just the beginning. The coming year will bring insecurity, uncertainty, and fear for many on our island. As federal funding continues to disappear across the board for social safety net programs, it's going to take all of us: nonprofits, businesses, faith communities, foundations, individuals, and our city government to fill the gap and make sure that no one on Bainbridge Island goes hungry. This is why I strongly support Councilmember Dietz' proposal. It is a one-time strategic investment in the health and dignity of our community, helping ensure that everyone has the most fundamental necessity, food on their table. Thank you for your time and for considering this urgent and compassionate action.
Thank you. Next is Maria.
Good evening. My name is Maria Metzler. I'm the Executive Director of Helpline House. I'm here to strongly support Councilmember Dietz's proposal to allocate $30,000 to Helpline House funding that would, as we heard, directly help put food on tables here on Bainbridge Island. For more than 50 years, Helpline House has been part of the fabric of this community. We provide essential services, things like nutritious food, help with housing and utilities, transportation support, mental health counseling, and programs for kids and seniors. Everything we offer is free of charge to anyone on the island who needs it. And over all those years, one thing has remained constant: the need for food assistance. In fact, that need has only grown. Last year, our food bank supported over 18,500 visits and distributed nearly 1 million pounds of food. Those aren't just statistics. They represent real people, our neighbors, who are working hard, raising families, caring for aging parents, and trying to make it through. Recently, we have all faced some significant challenges. Earlier this year, the USDA eliminated $660 million in local food for schools funding. A piece of that program, called local food purchasing, helped food banks like ours buy fresh, healthy food directly from local farmers and producers. Kitsap County received $100,000 through that program, shared across food banks, including Helpline House. When that funding disappeared, we didn't just lose food for our shelves, we also lost a lifeline for local farmers and growers who were part of that local food system. The community responded generously with donations of produce and other food, as well as financial support, which we are deeply grateful for. But those gifts aren't guaranteed ongoing, and there's no sign that the USDA will bring that funding back. On top of that, there have been deep cuts to the TFAP program, the Emergency Food Assistance Program. In just 2 months, $17,000 worth of food that would have come to Helpline House was canceled. Over a year, that's more than $200,000 worth of food. That's a huge hole to fill. Meanwhile, as these cuts take effect, demand is going up. While October food and cash benefits have gone out to those on SNAP, better known as food stamps, with the shutdown, our community is uncertain what's to come. In addition, due to federal legislation passed this summer, a press release from Governor Ferguson's office states that every Washingtonian on the SNAP program will see their benefits reduced. Members of the Bainbridge Island community are struggling. This allocation would go directly to putting foods on the tables for our community. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. Next is Mev Holberg.
I should have driven faster to get here before the professionals. So, hi, I'm Mev Hoberg, and I'm a board member at Helpline House. I'm here to talk about hunger tonight. The largest anti-hunger program in the US is the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, or SNAP. You might think of it as food stamps. It helps more than 42 million Americans afford groceries each month. This summer, Congress passed a federal spending bill that included $1.8 billion with a B dollars in cuts to SNAP benefits over the next 10 years. Those changes go into effect next month. According to Washington Governor Bob Ferguson's office, the maximum monthly household allotment for Washingtonians receiving SNAP benefits will drop by about $127 to $848 for a family of 4. That's a 13% decrease. I don't know if you've noticed, but the cost of living isn't decreasing, it's going up. Grocery prices are up nearly 30% since the pandemic, so your money or your SNAP benefits don't go as far at the grocery store. Rents are up, utilities are up, gas prices are up. The cost of healthcare, if you can get it, is up. At the end of the month, when all those bills are paid and you still come up short, where can you turn to put food on your table? If you're a senior living on fixed income, if you're a recently divorced single mom struggling to find your footing, if you're a 2-parent family of 4 working hourly wage jobs, you turn to food banks. Last year, 1 in 4 Washingtonians visited a food bank. Here on Bainbridge, we've seen visits to the Helpline House Food Bank increase 66% over the last 2 years. We now serve 400 families a week. So thank goodness for food banks. Except in March, the federal government cut more than $500 million in already allocated funding for the Emergency Food Assistance Program, TFAP, that Maria talked about. That provides proteins like meat, eggs, milk, and cheese, as well as produce, directly to food banks. Nationwide, that's millions of pounds of food that's not going to food banks. Here on Bainbridge, Helpline will see roughly $200,000 in TFAP deliveries cut, literally thousands of pounds of food not being delivered to us. This has resulted in families who could previously come into the food bank anytime they needed food now being restricted to one shopping day per week, with limits on the number of healthy protein items like meats, dairy, eggs, and cheese that they can take home to their families. We are profoundly grateful for efforts of our local partner, Friends of the Farm, which has helped keep amazing fresh produce on our shelves. But federal cuts are ongoing, and the increasing demand for services will be met with decreasing resources. You have on your agenda a request to consider allocating $30,000 of the city's contingency funds to Helpline House to make up some of the federal funding Helpline has lost so that we can continue to provide food for hungry islanders. I urge you to move this agenda item forward in your process. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Laura Lant.
Hey, council members. This is Laura Lant here. I want to also support Council Member Dietz' allocation of $30,000 to Helpline. I think that's wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Friends of the Farm, Helpline House, those organizations both need to sell and receive food for everyone on this island, this community, to be sustainable, to live day to day. And this is hand in hand with my original reason for coming up here was cuts on the federal and the state level that might be affecting the city of Bainbridge Island. And those cuts include programs that we've already, or rather, programs and projects that we've already accepted funding for. And I'm requesting that council have a public conversation about possible cuts to programs that are already in place that are receiving federal or state funding that might get pulled. I did hear some chatter online that there are some projects in the works that might have some conditions attached that weren't originally agreed to. And I would really like to hear more about what we're going to respond to those conditions as a city. So thank you for your time. And I hope you go back and you look at all the things that we said yes to that might now be affected by things on that state level and federal level. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, and with that, public comment is closed, and we are on to item 5, which is our consent agenda. Councilmember Murawaki.
Thank you, Mayor Matthews. I move approval of the consent agenda as presented. Oh.
Okay, first Deputy Mayor and then Councilmember Hightower.
I would like to request a removal of item 5E for separate consideration.
Was that the same one you were? Okay.
Yeah,
That's
that's the amendment number 1 to the.
Got it.
okay. Now,
I'll just add the amendment to the motion to approve the consent agenda with the removal of item 5E from the consent agenda.
okay, thank you. Councilmember Murawaki made the motion, seconded by Councilmember Dietz. And now we will go to item, oh, sorry. Yeah, all those in favor.
Aye.
I please. Yeah.
Now let's go on to item 5E, City Manager.
Perhaps we could hear what the comments are or the questions regarding the item first.
Did you want, yeah, Councilmember Hightower.
Okay, I have to say I was actually kind of doubly shocked by this. I was shocked by the proposal and shocked that it's on a consent agenda. Maybe that's because I've been here, although some of us more than me have been here through this whole process of protecting the affordable housing at that location. But I want to just remind us that back in, here's the headline from June 24th, 2018. Housing Kitsap is ready for speedy sale of 550 Madison apartments. Sales documents already signed. And then just one line out of there further in the article. The sale of the apartment building, however, has prompted much despair, dismay, and outrage on Bainbridge, where affordable housing options are limited and the median price of a single family home is more than $800,000. I wanted to pull this, and I will not be voting for this for multiple reasons. One, putting aside our 1220 obligations, our ethical obligations, our goals as a community to house people of all tiers. This particular project was a focus of the city council and the community because it was existing housing that was, I think it might have been below 50%, but it was definitely 60% below. This was really affordable housing that was going to be raised for putting up market rate housing. And between HRB, thank God, and the community and our big contribution from ARPA funds, we were able to ensure that similar affordability would be preserved there. So aside from the comments that our planning commissioner chair made, which are absolutely on target, that we are desperately trying to figure out how to get 60% AMI housing and below on this island. I think we are all have consensus at this point here and on the planning commission that those will have to be built by extraordinary means, the city or, $1.5 million or whatever dollars we spent on this. I forget, like $2 million of ARPA money that fell in our lap that we were able to use. Those are the only ways we're ever going to get 60% AMI and below on this island. And surely one of the principles of affordable housing policy is always to hold what you have. So yes, changing it to 80% and below would still technically be a level of affordability, but this is a precious resource we have addressing a particular tier of affordability at a time when we're saying we're going to build an entire, 92 units or whatever we want at building of 60% and below. But we apparently don't have the demand for this. We have the demand. The demand exists somewhere. So the fact that there are people who would love to live in the Oliver apartments, which I think look very cute and wonderful and great location, just because there are people out there that make 65% AMI or 62% AMI and they want to live there is not a reason for us to not make sure that that possibility for people at 60% and below is available, or 50 to 60. I just want to think about if there's anything else I wanted to add to that, because I really hope this council is not going to do this. But again, this being on a consent agenda on top of that, I just cannot wrap my head around, because this was a critical project to the community and to the council.
Deputy Mayor.
I'd like to speak in favor of flexibility. The same person who earns a salary of approximately 60% of AMI may work overtime or receive a bonus that drives the salary just above. That is the reason for this request, not in order to fill the units with people earning 80%, but to be realistic in response to experience interviewing applicants, people who've been on waiting lists, people who work at Safeway and work at TNC, other places as well, I suppose. I don't know the whole list, but I've spoken with Fedra Elliott and Maggie Rich today, and I do understand the predicament they are in. They hate saying no. Of course, they hate to say no to people a little above 80% of AMI. We have those people without an opportunity to live on Bainbridge Island. And we need to address this larger spectrum. And the population we are obligated to serve below 60%, around 30% and below that, we have a significant obligation under our allocation that we have to address. And we can do that with a good faith effort beginning, and we have 20 years in which to respond to changes in our community, changes in the expectations perhaps of the Department of Commerce. But I really think it's an easy vote for me. I can't speak for everybody, but it just seems to me an appropriate adjustment to experience on the ground, experience with real people living or working in our community and in need of a place. And this is only a small number. It doesn't set the only precedent we want for the future. We will be needing more units, more developments, 10 apartments, 20 apartments, that sort of a thing. We will have to approach this gradually and with all the tools we can bring to the task. So I'm definitely in favor of yes vote on this.
Councilmember Deeds.
Oh, great. Thank you, Mayor. Well, I can't answer why it was on the consent agenda, but I will say I'm in favor of this. Principally, I have the utmost respect for Housing Resources Bainbridge. And when they say they just need some flexibility, and it seems like it's just a matter of degrees or maybe thousands of dollars of annual income. So I'd like to give them that flexibility because they are doing this work and they know more than any of us and how to do this work. So I'll just say I'm in favor of this. Thank you.
Okay, I'm looking for a motion. Oh, sorry, Councilmember Schneider.
Thank you. I just wanted to weigh in on this as well. I understand the flexibility concept, and I think in general, I would be swayed by it. However, there's, I think some outstanding questions that were brought up earlier today in public comment that could be answered more fully, and then I might be inclined to vote for it, with more information. So namely, I think what would be really interesting and what this group needs to know is more about the waiting list and, more about the need on Bainbridge. And I think Housing Resources Bainbridge is in a wonderful position to help us with that. If they can sort of parse that waiting list for us. And then the other thing is I've heard from the community in public comment in the past that what we need is workforce housing. 12 unit or 13 units, is not going to solve the workforce housing problem, but 50,000 a year or whatever that cutoff point was for the 60% is about $25 an hour. And I think that we need to, take a look at what people are making here on Bainbridge in order to more fully understand the situation. So I support having this come back to council. I will vote against it right now, but that doesn't mean that I'm philosophically against it on its current merits. I would just like to learn more. Thank you.
Thanks, Councilmember Schneider. Councilmember Murwaki.
Thank you, Mayor Matthews. On the waiting list thing, my head is kind of wondering what's happening because I'm a commissioner on the Kitsap Housing Authority, and the rhododendron apartments, of which the agency owns, has a waiting list of hundreds of people, and that's the units that are over on Ferncliff and High School Road, right across from the Hockett and Olson place. And I would think off the top of my head that waiting list is probably proprietary because you have individuals' incomes and such. I would think that I would hope that we would at Kitsap Housing Authority, and I didn't ask this, but inform those folks that there is a project here on Bainbridge you can also apply for. I would think that there could be at least some population that would be interested in applying, and perhaps many of them are at the 60%. So I know there's a need. There's no question about it. It sounds like the Housing Resources Bainbridge had a difficulty because they just tipped it at 61% or 62%. I mean, it's essentially the same. And since half of these were 50% area median income, that was probably a good chunk of people who are already clearly, under the 60%. So this is difficult because I want to find any people who live on this island who can't afford to live there, find ways to make that happen. And it looks like this would be for the remaining 7 units to put them at 80%. Is that correct? Yeah. So I'd like the opportunity to reach out to my other commissioners and the board there to see if there was a way that we could somehow, because we know we have that demand of hundreds of people wanting to be on Bainbridge, to see if that might be a possible pool to help reach this target of 60%.
Thanks, Councilmember Murawaki. Councilmember Haytopoulos.
Yeah, just a couple of follow-up comments. Yeah, we're hearing a lot of comments about that such a small difference between 60%, say 62%. And I just think it's worth pointing out that this is the essence of having tiers and having income qualification. This is done all over the country, everywhere, all the time. And policymakers don't come in and play with the numbers. And somebody who likes a particular applicant or is worried they aren't getting enough applications or whatever, they don't play with those tiers. Those are the tiers around which we build policy. They're which standards are set up. We target, we want to help these people. So at some point, there's always going to be a place where you hit your tier and you go a little bit more, and it's just a little bit, but everything is built around our qualifying for funding. What is being told that we need to do by the legislature is based on these tiers. So it's a big deal for us to move from those tiers. I just want to point out, I mean, hear about this, it's only a small number of units. It's, you know, we had a huge outpouring for the community basically, in my opinion, is kind of falling apart together over whether there should be 92 units at 625. And this council was so dead set on keeping the last 20 units or so that it was willing to say, I'm not going to listen to all these other concerns of the community. That's 20 units. We're struggling to build any units at all. And we're talking about giving away, about removing this income restriction on 7 units out of 13. I hope that's all. I really hope this council thinks long and hard about this. And I guess the last thing I could say is I feel like can't imagine going before the Growth Management Hearings Board or the legislators that are pushing for everything they've been pushing for and saying, yeah, Bainbridge Island had these 60% below units, but we decided we wanted to turn them into 80% because that would help a different tier of people. That's the hypocrisy that we're dealing with at the moment. I can't imagine what the Planning Commission would be thinking, listening to us giving away or eliminating some of our 60% stock when we don't know how to solve for that.
Ashley.
Deputy Mayor.
Yes, I'd like to speak a little bit more about tiers. Tiers are created by legislatures, by the federal government, by HUD. There's no other way to do it, apparently, at the legal end of things. But when it comes to creating projects, we've learned from Lehigh's policy, they are obligated to meet an average, but they will do that by serving a range of incomes, no lower than 45% of AMI and no higher than 80%. I think it'll be hovering right around 60. But you know, I'm not the person on the ground. I want to serve the people doing the work. I want to make their job just a little easier. And I want to build a relationship of partnership with those people on the ground and the people they serve. I really don't see the need to there's a difference between flexibility and rigidity, and there are extremes that are both bad in both directions, but there is a sweet point in the middle that is neither too much nor too little. And I really think we should plan on having one vote, not a vote that we'll come back to on the basis of more information. I really feel the information is a very strong recommendation from the people doing the work for us, doing the work for our community. And I just want to be in step with that effort.
Thanks, Deputy Mayor.
Let me move put the motion on the table. Move to authorize the city manager to enter into amendment number 1 to the Declaration of Affordable Housing Covenants with Housing Resources Bainbridge for 560 Madison North to allow residential income at 80% of AMI.
Okay, motion made by Deputy Mayor Quinlan, seconded by Councilmember Dietz.
Speak to the motion.
Oh, okay.
Speak to the motion.
Councilmember Morwaki.
Yeah, it's a tough vote, and I am probably going to vote no only because I don't think we've exhausted the opportunity or exhausted the possibility that Housing Kitsap Authority may be able to, we have hundreds waiting to be on our island already. I don't know if that can be shared or not. I don't think it's been investigated. And perhaps that list would have plenty that may meet this target. That's something that I just want to be creative and try to find ways to make it all happen.
Okay, all right, all those in favor? Oh, one more.
I just wanted to say, I don't think we're hearing from HRB that there aren't people at 60% and 55%. They want the flexibility, but really, if they are going to come and testify to us that there aren't people in that income bracket that want to live on Bainbridge Island or are working here and want to live here, we should not be building affordable housing. We know they exist. I guess I just want to make the point. I don't think they need a list. I think that there are people out there.
Okay, Councilmember Dietz,
I-
and then this is it after.
Oh,
this.
yeah, I guess we're still debating. So we got a message from Phaedra Elliott earlier today. And I said, and I quote, "Since acquiring these units in December of 2024, we, that's HRB, been forced to turn away dozens of applicants whose incomes are just slightly above the 60 AMI limit, but who are employed on Bainbridge Island and seeking an affordable unit. These income limitations are a local condition set by the city and are not a requirement of any funding." That's what we received today.
Okay, okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Okay, so 3-3.
So it does not pass.
Okay, next on the agenda is. Oh, sorry, council announcements. Anybody have announcements?
I'll start.
Go ahead.
Councilmember Morwaki.
Well, first, yesterday was a wonderful day at Indigenous Peoples' Day, and most of us were there. I mean, I'm sure everyone will want to comment, but it was as usual, a wonderful program, especially the keynote speaker, and a remarkable textile artist who's been seen around the. I mean, I'll just let you guys share your comments on it, but it was pretty extraordinary, and really proud that we were there to witness it. This week on Saturday, some of us may have gone to the pancake breakfast, which was done by our local partners at the fire district. Then later that afternoon, a small group of people who had been intimately involved with the Bainbridge Island Japanese American Exclusion Memorial had a small groundbreaking because they are on their way to build the visitor center. It's been something that's been 2 decades in the waiting, and it was a really emotional thing to be a part of, and I was really honored to be there at that event. Pardon me. Sorry. And just for fun, for the senior center, they had their annual fundraiser called, for the Edge, our local, what are mostly Seattle folks, but they came and put on a private show just for these seniors. And it was nice to have something to laugh about place. So that's it. Thank you.
Thanks, Councilmember Morwaki. I don't know who was next. Councilmember Schneider.
Go ahead.
All right, thank you. It seems like eons ago, but we haven't had a council meeting since the week without driving happened. And I just want to say I had lots of failures that week. I ended up driving quite a bit, but there was one very fun day of walking on the ferry with my son. We had an errand that needed to be done in the U Village. And so we took transit up to U Village. Transit doesn't get you all the way there. So we rented scooters, and the scooters were really expensive by the time we got there. And we also learned that the scooters are geo-fenced so that they basically turn off when you get inside the village. So I mean, I knew that was possible, but it was just really interesting to experience it. And so we walked on the way back to get back to the transit station and then got home. And all in all, it was pretty fun. It took a little longer, but it was pretty fun. So that's my week without driving story. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Dietz.
Oh, thank you. I wasn't going to mention week without driving, but I ride my bike on occasion. So like yesterday, for example, was a day without driving because I rode my e-bike, sorry. Works great. But anyway, the Indigenous Peoples Day, there was quite a few of us. Let's see, Councilmember Schneider, Councilmember Morawaki, myself, Deputy Mayor, maybe city manager. We were well represented and members of the audience. And so it was a wonderful day. Let's see, Wednesday's Climate Change Advisory Committee meeting on Wednesday. Thursday, I'm going to be taking part in a Climate Resilience Economies Roundtable. It's a regional effort. And this Friday is, I think, our quarterly meeting. City of Bainbridge and the City of Poulsbo, we meet about every quarter just to talk about common interests. And so that's our meeting is this Friday, and it's going to be at City of Poulsbo. And that's it for me.
Thanks. And Deputy Mayor or Councilmember Hytopoulos, I didn't see.
Hytopoulos first.
Okay, Councilmember Hytopoulos.
Yeah, real quick, this may be a little bit of a stretch of the announcement category, though maybe not, because it did occur, I believe, since we were last here. And that was that this appeal was filed, the SEPA appeal was filed against the project. I'm actually bringing it up because I was very embarrassed by the city posting on Facebook the name of the person who filed the appeal. I don't remember, and please forgive me if I'm incorrect, but I don't remember in my 10 years on city council us calling out a citizen by name and in social media for filing an appeal, which is something that they are legally entitled to do.
Oh, sorry, Deputy Mayor.
Yeah. I've been involved in a number of different meetings going back a little while. The 1st of October, very early in the morning, I drove to Bremerton for a very large gathering of people. It was a fundraising event for Habitat for Humanity of Kitsap County. And, you know, it was an occasion to advertise and celebrate the work of Habitat for Humanity within Kitsap County, to hear from people who have benefited from that housing, and to see just how many people across our county. I was the only one I saw from Bainbridge Island, but across the county, there are so many people engaged in one way or another with Habitat for Humanity and undoubtedly with other activities in support of that housing for people in some level of need. I want to be numbered among the supporters, and I did make a contribution. Other people did as well. I would like Habitat for Humanity to be invited to Bainbridge to take advantage of some opportunity if we can identify a place that they would be interested in. The next day, Thursday morning, I went to Seattle for the Puget Sound Regional Council meeting, the Growth Management Policy Board. Among other things, we heard a presentation featuring Heather Wright, formerly of our planning department, working in Poulsbo. She was instrumental with other people in Poulsbo and on the peninsula, putting together the package of pre-approved plans that we will be addressing later in on our agenda here. There was a bit of talk about the history of that effort. It did take time. It involved people from a number of different jurisdictions, and we will benefit from that groundwork and the creation of something that will be normative or useful across Kitsap County and an example for other counties as well, other parts of the region. There was real interest in that. I raised some questions about what might be advantageous on Bainbridge, but was not part of the program per se. Did they discuss for ownership opportunities? And the response to that was very brief, but saying that condominiumizing of the ADU in conjunction with the primary residence is an option that's worth exploring. And that may be one way to go. And it may be something that we will have time to discuss in the course of our work on the comprehensive plan. Let me see, some subsequent to that, there was a very lively steering committee meeting on the 9th of October, Thursday afternoon. Mayor Ashley Matthews went to the REAC meeting and I went to the steering committee meeting. And it was somewhat handicapped by being partly on Zoom and partly in the room, but we still had a very serious conversation about the lowest tier of the housing that we must plan for and accommodate, 80% of AMI and below. We do have that need, and the Kitsap County as a whole faces that need, and we need to make a good faith effort to begin in a way that's appropriate for this community to accommodate some housing at that level, and it will require some concerted effort. I thought that there was within the people there high degree of agreement of the need to focus that attention and do some problem solving. That's all I need to add.
Thanks, Deputy Mayor. It has been a while since we last met. It's been a lot going on. So the Kitsap Public Health District met last week, I think, and we passed new rodent regulations. If anyone remembers the family last year in Poulsbo who had like 100 little trash panda raccoons coming to their house, and because the person had been feeding them, and so there are some new regulations around rodents. And the health board's also recruiting a new member for our non-elected role. And so if that's something that interests you, definitely go onto the website. REAC, we met last Thursday, it was a really fruitful meeting where they did discuss some of the conversations, some of the interactions they had at Planning Commission, and just how really good that was. So, and then I spent an afternoon in the kitchen with Azure, who's one of the Suquamish tribal members last week, and we were making gifts for the conference that's going on these last few days. And so we bagged up lots of tea, and we made some really cool, like boiled oil and put them in these things. And then it's like a really cool salve. And it's made with grapeseed oil, sunflower oil, wild rose, calendula, and lavender. It's just a really cool day in the Suquamish kitchen. And then Friday, Blair and I went to, City Manager King and I went to the KRCC retreat in Bremerton and gave a presentation. Well, Blair gave the presentation, and it was a really good meeting. And tomorrow I will be speaking at UW at the Evans School of Public Policy with Representative, I'm blanking on his name right now, but yes, so that would be really, I'm looking forward to it, and I'm really nervous. So probably been a little shaky tonight for a couple of reasons. And that's all I have. City Manager.
Yes, thank you. I do have City Manager's report. I have two items. Just one, you'll see a memorandum here. I want to talk about the memorandum. But yesterday, SR 305 was closed for public safety purposes. A tree was in the power line north of the Ada Swell and 305 roundabout. Bainbridge Police Department, Bainbridge Fire, and State Patrol were all on the scene there. Those agencies were waiting for WSDOT to show up. It's there right away. When WSDOT did arrive, Bainbridge Police released themselves and allowed someone else to take over traffic control. Department of Transportation also then waited for Puget Sound Energy to come, and a contractor came on scene to help trim and remove the tree and restore the power lines. The city did use its NICS capabilities, issued a road closure at about 12:30, and then another alert about 2:20 notifying the road is open. That portion of the State Route 305 is maintained. The vegetation is maintained by WSDOT. It's not maintained locally. There are times where the city, where other smaller vegetation will fall, and the city will go ahead and remove it when it can to help the traffic flow. But in this case, the tree and the limbs were large enough and complex enough, being in the power lines, that we weren't in a spot to remove it ourselves. The second thing I have is, I have to tell you, is an incomplete report on the city's quarterly report for the third quarter. You'll notice normally we have a chart that accompanies this, and the chart did not make it in, at least into the report, but the memorandum did. So I'll give it to you again next meeting as well. But we list about 80 different projects. That is not a all-encompassing list, but we like to try to put a lot of projects in. So the reason we want to report to the council is to maintain the council's awareness of the many different projects that we are undertaking. Sometimes it's easy to bring up one project, say once a quarter or every 6 months, and then the work that's behind it is forgotten. But we want to make sure that you're reminded about that work. Just a couple of highlights for things that happened in the quarter, or at least have happened throughout 2/3 of the year. Everything from the utility rates, water, wastewater, surface stormwater rates were increased, and along with the utility rate discount program was expanded. Key staff people, including the hiring and onboarding the climate sustainability manager. We have gone through now at least the Cooper Creek portion of the non-motorized project, from awarding of the contract to completing that piece of the project. And we're very happy that that is now done and relieved about that. Again, we have about 80 different projects that we have, and we want to make sure that there's an awareness, because every new assignment or activity is basically a new project that requires an allocation of staff and resources and time management with that. Again, typically we have a chart behind the memorandum that got separated in the process, and we'll bring the whole piece to the council a little bit later. Thank you.
Thanks, City Manager. Name I was trying to remember was Representative Josh Penner, who's also the mayor of Ording. Sorry, Josh. Okay, next is regular business. Number 1 is confirm the appointment of Thomas Alpaugh as municipal court judge.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. This is an item that very briefly, the City Council has adopted a procedure, Resolution 2121, to recruit the municipal court judge. Tom Alpaugh was appointed to serve an unexpired term. That term expires December 31st. We reviewed the resolution, and we conducted a recruitment consistent with the establishment of the policies there, primarily notifying and accepting applications in an open and notorious way. We advertised in the following sites: the Washington State Bar Association, we advertised there for about a month; the Washington Association of Municipal Attorneys, we advertised there for about 2 months; and then the Administrative Office of the Courts, we advertised there for 3 months; and then Association of Washington Cities, and on the city's website. There were about 7 qualified candidates that applied, but based upon their level of experience and the work of Thomas Alpaugh, I am recommending that Tom Alpaugh be selected to fill a 4-year term now with the concurrence of the City Council. Also included is a contract, employment contract for the municipal court judge. The pay is consistent with the municipal code, which establishes the compensation for this position.
Thanks, City Manager. Okay. Deputy Mayor.
I move to confirm the appointment of Thomas Alpaugh as municipal court judge for a 4-year term commencing January 1st, 2026 until December 31st, 2029, and authorize the city manager to execute an associated employment agreement in substantially the form as included with this agenda item.
Second.
Okay, motion made by Deputy Mayor Quinlan, seconded by Councilmember Moriwaki. I just had a quick comment before. When Judge Alpaugh was here the last time, he spoke about the one thing that he really is a non-negotiable for him, which are passing buses in school zones. And so I have been seeing some chatter online about that happening a lot lately. And so that just made me think of Judge Alpaugh. So just be safe out there, folks. Just be very cognizant of school buses. And with that, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And seeing no opposition, we'll move on to the next item, which is adopting ordinance 2025-26 related to pre-approved accessory dwelling units.
Yes, Mayor, members of the council, staff is asking that you consider adopting this ordinance related to the program that was originally adopted and developed by the Kitsap Regional Coordinating Council. Presenting it to you this evening is Darren Buchanan, who's our permit and administration supervisor, and he currently is the acting director while Director Charnas is on vacation.
City Council, Director, Planning Manager, and Permanent Admin Services Supervisor when I'm not wearing all those other hats. As you are aware, the Kitsap Regional Coordinating Council, in conjunction with the Artisan Group, has established a program for pre-approved accessory dwelling units to be used in the urban areas of Kitsap County, as well as the jurisdictions of Bremerton, Port Orchard, Poulsbo, and as well as Bainbridge Island. These plan sets range in size from 480 square feet up to 1,000 square feet with this hopeful adoption of the amendment. The plan sets come with a variety of options to choose from, including roof pitch, siding color, lighting, fixtures, door style, many more. The goal of the pre-approved ADUs was to help reduce some of the upfront costs that are associated with developing an ADU, like paying for an architect to design the plans and could potentially allow for faster permitting. Back on July 22nd, we sought direction from council to work through the Planning Commission to amend our current zoning code for accessory dwelling units. We recognize that there were some barriers needing to be removed and to allow these pre-approved ADU units to move forward. Before you today is ordinance 2025-26, which through the work of the Planning Commission has allowed these amendments to be made to remove the barriers in our current zoning code. Among these minor amendments made were to allow for the applicant to apply for a 50% setback reduction through a variance procedure for single-story ADUs, as well as the maximum square footage was increased from 900 square feet to 1,000 square feet to align with the passing of House Bill 1337. A change was also made to remove the requirement that ADU shall maintain the appearance of the primary dwelling unit, as this is something that's not always capable with the customization options that are with the pre-approved ADUs. And finally, the term shall is replaced with the term should when referencing a shared driveway to encourage the use of a shared single driveway with the primary dwelling unit, with the understanding and flexibility that it may not always be possible. Staff does work to update the city's website with its own landing page for the pre-approved accessory dwelling units. The page contains the renderings that you've seen previously, as well as instructions on how to apply for the pre-approved sets. A pre-approved plan set request form has been created as well. That's on there that customers would then fill out and then send to the PCD email with the option that they're trying to choose. That gives the staff a opportunity to have a cursory review of it to make sure that the site does allow for an ADU. There's not an existing ADU that's already there, and then give them the plan set that they then can apply for. With these amendments, we feel these amendments will allow Bainbridge Island to better utilize the pre-approved ADUs plan sets and hopefully saving applicants both time and money. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Councilmember Dietz.
Yeah, thank you. I'll make the motion and speak to it. Okay, just a sec. I move to adopt ordinance 2025-26 related to pre-approved accessory dwelling units.
I'll second.
Okay, and just quickly, I'll speak and then maybe others will as well. First off, thank you for bringing this up. And I want to give a shout out to the Planning Commission because it was through their very late or early morning, depending on how you count it, work on September 11th, which enabled it to come to us. And of course, this originated with the Kitsap Regional Coordinating Council last year. I was chair at that time, and on behalf of Bainbridge, worked with Port Orchard, Bremerton, Poulsbo to put this together. It was really quite a collaboration of jurisdictions to, we all put in money to pay for the architects to make these designs with the intent here, frankly, is to make housing easier and less expensive. So I'm very excited that this came forward, and thank you so much.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor. Oh, sorry. Councilmember
Councilmember
Milwaukee first.
Yeah.
So you're late.
Yeah, I just want to echo what Councilmember Deeds said. I think this is so exciting, and the designs are very attractive, I think. And so they're at a certain price point, but the speed and efficiency of which this allows these kind of units to be built is really important, and of course, a lower cost. So anything that can help get more units available on our island, the better.
Deputy Mayor.
I just want to say a couple of things. First, in addition to the hearing that was held at an inconvenient time, in a lot of ways, inconvenient for the planning commissioners, but they did what was on the schedule and got it done. But that was subsequent to a wide-ranging discussion by the planning commission of what was proposed to them as a draft of the ordinance. That had been referred to them by the city council after our discussion of the need for this, the appropriateness of this pre-approved, this change to the municipal code. And then I want to say the municipal code is being fixed in tiny ways. I think there will be a time when we have a chapter devoted to all of the building types and all of the forms in which lower cost housing can be created and belongs on the island in various circumstances. We have been permitting affordable housing. We have been permitting accessory dwelling units for decades in most zones on the island. So people who say, oh, this is going to be an upzone, it's nothing of the sort. The zoning has permitted ADUs. They just have not been developed very much, or they have not been developed as rental properties that help us to cover our bases with affordable housing. So there's more to be done, more to be discussed in terms of opportunities for ownership and possibly incentives that will make it easier for families that want to make this investment in an income-producing property possible. That's down the line. It extends beyond the end of our work on the comprehensive plan, but we're getting something started here. And for the moment, this is an adequate sort of patch on our code. So I'm definitely in support of this, and I feel that we've gotten it done in a reasonable amount of time with a lot of opportunity for public understanding of the issues and what we're up to.
Thanks, Deputy Mayor. Yes, this is when City Manager and I were at the KRCC retreat on Friday. Poulsbo, Ed Stern was talking about the Poulsbo open house that they had, and it was just sounds to me so exciting, and I hope we can get there too. Poulsbo held an open house about the ADUs and plans for interested community members, thinking that they would have 50 folks show up, and I think a few hundred showed up to a brewery. So it's definitely something of community interest. I believe folks have already been showing up at our counters. So yeah, good stuff. Okay, with that, we have a motion made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, any opposition? Seeing none, we're on to the next item, which is authorize the city manager to issue a request for qualifications for state lobbying services.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I'm going to provide a brief background, which seems like it should be easier to say because it's not that late. In 2023, the city council selected to procure lobbying services related to legislative action in Washington State. There was an open solicitation at that time, and three council members participated in a subcommittee, Councilmember Dietz, Milwaukee, and Quitsland, along with city staff, and after a review of competing firms, recommended the firm of Gordon Thomas and Honeywell Government Relations with Brianna Murray, their principal lobbyist, be retained for that services. The city entered into a 2-year contract that expires here at the end of 2025. Solicit for services at this amount, and we are bringing this forward to the council, asking you to authorize the release of an RFQ, request for qualifications, for state lobbying services. I'm also asking for at least one council member to participate in an interview process. Personally, I have been pleased with the work of Gordon Thomas Honeywell. I think the council has too, but nevertheless, we will conduct an open recruitment. Gordon Thomas Honeywell has indicated that they do plan to submit a proposal to us. The structure that we are proposing, if we go forward at the council's consent, is rather than a 2-year agreement, a 3-year agreement. Primarily, we would like to get off of the cycle where we are selecting a lobbyist in the mid of the state's biennium budget. So right now we're in the middle of the budget, which probably in the future is not the best time if we're to change lobbying services or wanted to solicit to have that. So it's probably the big thing I'd like to highlight is a 3-year agreement versus a 2-year agreement. Nevertheless, it's up to the council whether you would like to solicit for lobbying services. We could allow the contract to expire on the 31st, and the city operated many years without a lobbyist. But again, I think that the services that have been provided have been beneficial and have proven to be cost effective.
Thank you. Councilmember, oh, sorry, I never see who's first.
Go ahead.
So I'm just curious, why not do 1 year to get us on a 2-year cycle that we prefer rather than extend a contract a whole 3 years, which seems rather long?
Through the chair, there's also hope that we could lock a rate in for a longer period of time than just a year. But we could do just 1 year as well.
Councilmember Milwaukee.
If there's no more on that, I would be happy to serve on that panel.
Okay, Councilmember Dietz.
Yeah, just a question about the budget, the 162,900. Is that for 2 years?
Though that would be the amount. The amount is $4,300 a month. We put what we thought the amount would be in expenses over the 3-year period.
Okay.
So that's 36 months. But again, there's no obligation to do that.
Okay, Councilmember.
I just want to explain that I just don't think I can vote for 3 years on this for a couple of reasons. I think that it's been a good thing that we've had lobbyists. I've heard a bunch of criticism recently somewhere. We're not doing, I think that, I think our legislators could do more for us. So I like the idea, but there's a couple of things. 3 years just seems like a long time for this type of contract. If we wind up with someone else we don't like, we're 3 years in, if it's a whole different council and they don't like it. So I'm probably going to have to vote no because of the term, and I just wanted to say why.
Thanks, Councilmember. I can appreciate that. Okay, did anyone make a motion? No, we did not. We're acting like it's 9 p.m. It's funny. I think we're out of practice. Deputy Mayor.
I move to authorize the city to issue a request for qualifications for lobbying services and select Councilmember Clarence Milwaukee to serve on the selection committee.
Okay, motion made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And opposed? Okay. Okay. On to receive update on lodging tax advisory committee.
Yes, we want to bring to the council's attention that we being collectively, the city staff and council, are having a difficult time identifying volunteers willing to serve on the Lodging Tax Advisory Committee. If we are going to collect and distribute lodging tax, state law requires a methodology for that to occur, and we have to have a Lodging Tax Advisory Committee. Ellen Schroer will talk to you a little bit about the efforts that have been gone into selecting, or not selecting, but attracting candidates to bring to the council. And we are providing at least 2 different options for the council, although there may be other options for you to consider on going forward.
Thank you, City Manager, and good evening, Council. Ellen Schroer, Deputy City Manager, here for a quick update on the Lodging Tax Advisory Committee, often known as LTAC, and the associated funding, which is the Civic Improvement Fund. This is revenue generated by folks who stay overnight on Bainbridge Island. The tax rate and the eligible uses are set by state law, as well as the committee the composition of the committee that then makes funding recommendations to the City Council for its use. The city has been working hard to find folks who are both eligible and interested in serving on the Lodging Tax Advisory Committee, or LTAC. We've done a number of different recruitments included in our general overall volunteer call for advisory committees. We've reached out directly to folks who are currently receiving this revenue and really followed up on any lead we could find. Despite our best efforts, we have received only 1 application to date, which is the reason for me to be here with you tonight to get some guidance from you on your preference for staff's next steps. The city of Bainbridge Island has a long-standing habit of setting organizational eligibility for applying for LTAC awards based on whether or not they have someone who sits on the committee. The Committee for LTAC, the Lodging Tax Advisory Committee, by state law, is made up of 2 members from businesses that generate the tax, so lodges or short-term rentals, 2 members of organizations that are eligible to receive the tax, and 1 voting city council member. The city of Bainbridge Island has set a requirement or an eligibility criteria for organizations to apply for LTAC funding, which precludes them from having a board member, officer, or staff member serving on the Lodging Tax Advisory Committee. And that is the city's decision. It narrows the pool, but also removes any potential conflict of interest or appearance of conflict of interest. I think that is probably why we're seeing fewer folks who are raising their hand to be on this committee. We have in the past always been able to solve that problem, but this year we haven't been able to identify folks who are interested in serving on the committee. So at this point, we have 2 options for you to consider as we continue to work on this. One is to make a decision tonight to delay the process for up to 6 months and to start the recruitment process again in the fall, or excuse me, in the spring of next year or the winter of next year. Another is to continue our efforts to recruit committee members, perhaps ask you to help us reach out to folks and to really just to continue what we're doing, hoping that we would be able to seat a committee or bring appointments for your consideration as early as possible in 2026. The city has reached out to our current recipients and those many of whom have applied for funding again for next year, and let them know that this is happening, and has, just let them know that we will continue to be in communication with them, as I know that folks count on this funding for their ongoing work, but they are understanding of the reason for this delay and have explained to us that they believe that in most cases they would be able to accommodate a later time. So at this time, I'm happy to take questions or turn it over to you for your discussion.
Deputy Mayor, oh, sorry.
Yeah.
First was Councilmember Murwaki.
Yeah,
Thank
go
you,
ahead.
Matthews. Having previously served on this, it's really a really interesting process, and these monies go to important things. And I even though it's an option that we've chosen, that to be a member, you cannot be a potential recipient is not a requirement. I think it's really a positive thing. It's very transparent that no one can put their finger on the scale for the organization of which they work for or represent. And of these options, the one that I would want to continue would be the second option, moving forward, trying to get more applicants through the beginning of the year, because it would be great to have this process done and grants and awards be done early as possible, because a lot of these organizations, those monies are really important for their programs for that year, and they are hoping or planning to budget for that. The delay of it could be very difficult for programs or events. So my suggestion would be, let's try to recruit harder, and hopefully get some more applicants at the beginning, first quarter of next year.
Deputy Mayor.
I have a question for Ellen. It just occurred to me, and I just wonder if this type of business would qualify for participation as a committee member. There are several glossy magazines that appear seasonally. The best of them, I think, is called Tidelands, and I've become acquainted with the woman founder and publisher of that magazine. She's an extraordinary person. And of course, they promote tourism, they promote activity by residents. And I think there's a perspective there, awareness of what the guest population and the assets of the community are. I don't know if that would fit under one of the headings. I could reach out to this person that I know, see if she might be interested.
Through the chair, talking with the city attorney, someone like that would probably meet one of the criteria, and that would fit into what the world staff is looking for, is that we need help or more direct involvement from the council if you're going to have an LTAC committee.
Councilmember Dietz.
Yeah, thank you. Well, I would concur with Councilmember Morowaki's suggestion. That'd be option number 2, continue recruitment ongoing with the goal of completing this process as early as practical in the new year, next year. It's just for the reasons that he mentioned. So let's see what we can do.
Okay. Oh, Councilmember Murwaki.
Just a thought, continuing the thought about not having members who could possibly be receiving funds. And it's a really great idea. Tidelands and Pacific Northwest Magazine, they're both really great projects, but many of their advertisers are people who may receive these funds. And so I think that even the appearance of it might be problematic for an individual who that's their source of revenue for their business. And some of the applicants could be those businesses. So it's a little stretch, but it could, I just want to keep it as clean as we can, I think.
We have a list of applicants already. Yeah, so we know what the field is, but there's still opportunity for more applications or not?
I think the deadline for the deadline is closed for
Okay,
application.
okay, this is a question. Yeah, okay, yeah.
We have anyone want to give it a shot?
Yeah, hi. Okay,
Councilmember Dietz.
thank you, Mayor. I think I'll just go ahead. Let's see here. I move to direct the city manager to continue recruitment of committee members with the goal of completing the LTAC award process as early as practical in 2026.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion made and seconded. If I'm not seeing any more discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Now designate one council member to serve on the interview panel for city attorney. Good. Councilmember Murwaki.
I would like to make the motion. We only have one person was dais that actually falls into that category who might have some information or logic about what an attorney might be required to serve. So I would move to appoint Councilmember Kristen Hitopoulos to join the interview panel for the city attorney position.
Okay.
Councilmember Hitopoulos. No, I'd actually really like to do this. I'm going to be really missing Jim and would love to be involved in the selection of of his replacement. But it says before the end of, are you really going to pull this off before the end of October? Because I have a medical leave coming up for about 10 days. It'll at the end of the month.
We can be flexible. We have gone ahead and conducted the recruitment.
Mhm.
We have identified candidates we would like to interview. Our tentative date right now, which is October 23rd, but again, we can be flexible.
I'm literally in surgery that day, so I can't. So I don't want to mess up the schedule, but I'll be back in order on the 3rd. So
Maybe their materials, you can just look at, maybe you can look at materials and then.
if no one else was interested, I'd at least look at materials. But if you were hoping to have somebody be involved,
Yeah,
just
we
couldn't
would,
take. Yeah.
we certainly would take anyone, Councilor Hitopoulos would be a wonderful participant. The date is important in this sense. Jim has made it known he is going to be gone at the end of December. We want to have enough time to
Yeah.
conduct the interviews, do any background, and of the highest rated candidates, they all are employed. We want to make sure that there's enough transition time so that they can join us in January. So we don't think we push the date back too much, but we still have some flexibility around that October date.
Have you already announced that date to the candidates or?
I believe, well, again, we have flexibility. I believe we have, but I will say we have flexibility.
I'd like
Because-
to work with you on that. Maybe I'll drag myself in here in bad shape the next week. I don't do narcotics after surgery, so I will be of right mind, but I couldn't do it the day I'm in surgery. So,
Yeah.
yep, I'd like.
Right. And I say, and again, we welcome, I do say tongue in cheek, very tongue in cheek, that we like to make it a little bit difficult for the applicants to see who really wants this job.
Is the council okay that, I just don't know for sure we'll find a date. Does anyone else want to be the backup or let me look at some written materials and respond if worse comes to worse?
Let's, I say, let's go with you, and if it doesn't work, we'll figure something out, but in the meantime, because
Okay.
I would be happy to do it and conference with you or something, but I think
Okay,
if we
great.
can do it, it'd be great.
Sounds good.
Okay, so does anyone want to move to you already moved, we have a second? We have a motion and a second?
I'll second.
Okay, perfect. So motion made by Councilmember Morawaki, seconded by Councilmember Schneider. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. And next is communications. First is consider request from Councilmember Dietz to place an emergency funding request of $30,000 to supplement Helpline House's food bank program with funds coming out of council's contingency on a future council agenda. Yep, so this is to discuss, Councilmember Dietz.
Yes, so we're not discussing it. We're just agreeing to put this on an agenda. So I'll just make a motion. I move to put on the nearest possible agenda, a discussion of emergency funding requests of $30,000 to supplement Helpline House's food bank program with funds coming out of the council's contingency fund.
Second.
Okay, so motion made by Councilmember Dietz, seconded by Deputy Mayor. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Thank you for that. And last but not least is receive a request from the Planning Commission that the groundwater management consultant attend a Planning Commission meeting following the October 21st City Council study session.
This is primarily communicating to the council request from the planning commission. It would be the assumption that this would be something that would be done unless the council does not want that done. But the working assumption is that this would be something accommodated, but the primary purpose of this is to bring it forward for council awareness.
Thanks, City Manager. Oh, Councilmember Hidalgo.
I just want to request that this be done as soon as possible after we receive the presentation ourselves or have our own Q&A or whatever. It's a fundamental basis for planning for this
Yes. Yeah.
process. Thank you.
I agree. I think ours is October 21st. Wow, that's actually soon. So yeah, I was gonna say if we could even do it before it, but yeah, okay. Read. Councilmember Morawaki.
Well, I move that the acting planning director requests that the groundwater management consultant attend the planning commission meeting following the city council meeting on October 21st, 2025, as soon as possible and be available for questions and answers to the planning commissioners.
Great. Motion made by Councilmember Morawaki, seconded by Councilmember Dietz. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. No opposition. And with that, we are adjourned.
Yep. You have a thirst, Joe?
Yeah, let's.
Very good.
You gotta do it.
Very good. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
We've been